Hi everybody, welcome to The Garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. This is the Court of Public Opinion. How sweet it is. Well, it's not always sweet, but we try to make it interesting. I don't know what's happening with the weather. I mean, we're back in winter here in Adelaide at Glen Osmond, where we record the Court of Public Opinion. But wherever you are, I hope it's a better kind of a day. We're recording on Mondays for Tuesday morning's posting at 9 o'clock. Melbourne Cup Day 2025. Some Cup trivia. It is 100 years since the first radio broadcast of the Melbourne Cup. It's 95 years since Farlap won the Melbourne Cup. 1876, 75,000 people turned up for the running of the Melbourne Cup. The population of Melbourne, the whole shebang, was only 60,000. Wow. The winning jockey was Peter St Albans. And do you know what? The amazing thing, he was 11 years old. Amazing. Prize money, £1,160. Gee, there's a legendary sporting event for you. It's Tuesday, and the RBA, well, maybe plug in and watch the Melbourne Cup, I don't know. But anyway, they will be announcing the decision on interest rates. But these worse than expected inflation figures, 3.2% for the year, there will be no cut. In fact, because of the government's policy on renewables, locking us into more expensive electricity, meaning more expensive everything, and higher inflation, we can start thinking about the end of cuts and the prospect of interest rate hikes. Thank you, Chris Bowen. Thank you. So far this year, electricity costs up 39%. They promised it would be cheaper. 39%, which of course is reflected in the price and the cost of everything. A lot of pain inflicted to achieve absolutely nothing. But a glimmer of hope and sanity. The Nationals have dumped net zero. Terrific. Their policy is very sensibly to stay in lockstep with the rest of the world. Now, who could argue with that? Huh? The left, well, they're more concerned with the rest of the world, strutting the global stage, banquets, red carpets, all that sort of stuff. It is the Australian government. They are there to look after us. That's their job. Look after us, our interests, not the world. They've demonstrated that the pursuit of net zero will bankrupt businesses, cost jobs, increase the cost of living, and therefore inflation. In other words, wreck the economy. But this is what Labor has done in the past. Net zero today is what the Lima Declaration was back in the 1970s. An act of sabotage, nothing short of treason, in my opinion. And if you don't believe me, Google the Lima Declaration. And if I reach over here and get my phone, I've got it set up in here. I'll read it to you because it's interesting. And I think more and more people should know about it. It says, in 1975, the Whitlam Labor government signed the United Nations Lima Declaration, declaring, it's a declaration through which the Australian government sold out, and I repeat, sold out, not my words, their words, sold out Australian industries and workers by specifically agreeing to transfer manufacturing to third world countries, supposedly to help them develop. And it worked. China back then was a peasant economy. And all that, ladies and gentlemen, was done with the understanding, right under the nose, with the overview of the trade union movement, there to look after the worker. The pursuit of net zero is just as destructive as that. We would be less competitive, if that's possible. So what does the government do? What does it do? Well, it comes along and it says, let's have, put the phone over there, let's have a future made in Australia, which is a joke. With Labor's policies driving up the cost of production, renewables driving up the cost of living, people will be driven to buy the cheapest imported goods they can possibly find. The boss of Bunnings, I don't know if you saw this, but really interesting. The boss of Bunnings has revealed the struggle that he has getting shoppers to buy Australian-made. He went public on the weekend, just past, as the cost of living continues to hurt household budgets. Mike Schindler says Bunnings face a major struggle trying to sell Australian-made products because they're simply too expensive. So much for Buy Australian. And of course you've got an expensive advertising campaign, which we pay for, called The Future Made in Australia. These guys are very good with the slogans and the spin. Wouldn't you love to be the government's advertising agency? The Liberals are scared of losing young voters. Look, I'm not a politician, but listen, it's up to you to explain to them why net zero is nonsense. Tell them about the closure of the aluminium smelter, Tomaco, the loss of jobs and opportunity, ever more expensive electricity. And remember that $300 household rebate will not continue. Jim Chalmers has said that. He's put it out there. It will not continue. Labor talks about the exciting economic opportunities offered by net zero. Explain that. Or as Pauline would say, please explain. Where are the exciting opportunities? What are the exciting opportunities? No, they get a free ride, these pollies. The journalists should ask them, explain it. And like electric cars, if they were so good, you wouldn't have to bribe and threaten and subsidise. If net zero made any sense, the rest of the world would be racing to get there. And they are not. So it makes perfect sense to move only as fast as our partners. Having said that, it actually makes more sense, more importantly, to move only as fast as our competitors. But nevertheless, it's a good move. Get rid of the net zero thing. It's rubbish, non-achievable anyway. I'm so glad that other media picked up on that Joy Division T-shirt disgrace. Ben Forden on 2GB, I don't know if you listen to him, you can pick that up on your telephone because radio these days is accessible. Any country, I mean, your smartphone can pick up 200,000 radio stations in the palm of your hand. Sherry Markson was on Sky talking about it, Tom Elliott on 3AW and others. They point out that 3 years ago, Albo was told by Steve Jackson on his podcast, which is very popular. Steve Jackson told him that the Joy Division was about the sexual slavery of young Jewish women in concentration camps for the pleasure of soldiers of the Third Reich. So he knew. He knew. But what? What? Didn't care? Amazing. Nvidia, or I suppose you could call it Nvidia. I think it's Nvidia. Just became, and quite frankly, when you're worth this much money, you can say it any way you like. They've just become the world's most valuable company. They are worth, now, My eyes are watering. And don't blame me. It is eye-watering. $500,000 billion. Could you get your mind around that? $500,000 billion. Or another way of saying that is $5 trillion. They make chips. Can you imagine if they ever got into fission as well as chips? Fish and chips, I'm sorry. No. From this weekend, just gone by, we have an extra incentive, $8.5 billion to general practitioners to bulk bill. Now, I can understand the government wanting GPs to bulk bill. They're all committed in Canberra there to their policy philosophy. Free medical care, which of course doesn't exist. GPs will take the additional $8 billion and will probably go on demanding a co-payment. There's nothing to stop them. It's their choice. Free agents. The more money that government pours into aged care, child care, health care, NDIS, Medicare, the more the for-profit operators will charge. It's a dog chasing its tail. The government doesn't care because it's not their money. And ridiculously high cost of medical care, you can trace it all the way back to Medibank back in '72 when Gough Whitlam came in. Free healthcare, universal free healthcare. It never was and never will be. Universal health insurance is like all insurance. People in that business charge more because they can, and they do. The government has been sitting on a report. I suspect it's probably not the only one, but this is a particularly interesting one. A report that was given to them, the Briggs report, given to them 2 years ago. One can only wonder why. The report inquired into the appointments made to public boards. When you Google that as well, Google's a fascinating source of information. There are 1,200 boards, public boards in Australia. The suspicion has been, for many years, and many administrations for that matter, that all of these people on these boards, they're all paid, they're somebody's mate. This inquiry, no doubt, is very embarrassing to the Labor government. It would be embarrassing to any government. They don't want people to see the nepotism, the jobs for the boys. There's nothing new about this. We've had similar problems in every state. They're called quangos. Quangos, if I can get this right, quasi-autonomous, non-governmental organisations. Quangos. They operate with a degree of independence from government, but they are still controlled and funded by government. They are supposed to act at arm's length from the various ministers, keeping separate from direct political control, which is probably why the politicians are very careful about the people they put on these boards in the first place. Look, it's jobs for the boys, looking after your mates, who in return look after you. Favours repaid. As I say, it's been going on for years. I'm quite sure both sides of politics do it, but it really is pretty shabby, pretty grubby. There's the, and I'm chasing this one up for the Friday live streaming show, there is the Climate Authority, which is a board. And it interested me that there are 25 people on that board. I don't know about the prickly pear board. We have one of those here in Adelaide. What the hell does the prickly pear board do? I mean, I haven't seen a prickly pear for years. There's the dingo fence board. There are hundreds and hundreds of them, all stacked with mates, all paid to do What? I don't know. Hundreds of them. Hundreds and hundreds of them. We're here for the Rising Sun, ladies and gentlemen. 8333-0721. Give them a call, particularly if you're heading up towards Christmas and looking for a end-of-year venue for an office function or a personal, quiet lunch or dinner for two. Doesn't matter. It's a lovely atmosphere, great wine list, fantastic menu. The staff are wonderful too, I must tell you. They really go out of their way to take care of you. And Jim Elder, another one of our sponsors, 8267-2869 if you're wanting to get, but you better be quick because this last auction is heading dangerously close. It must be only about 4 weeks away. If you need to get a painting into that, do it quickly. Now, Pete, are you going to play the song?
Johnny Mac's song, yes.
Johnny Mac's song?
We'll tack that on at the end.
Okay, so if I just tell you about the dates and I give you a couple of birthdays. This is Johnny Mac, who is 93 years old, and he is singing one of Peter Clayton's songs.
He is indeed.
He is indeed. And there's a video.
Yes.
And it's going to be released.
It's already released now on YouTube. Yes.
You see, I would think that would get out onto breakfast television. He get $1 million worth of free publicity, apart from what we can give him here.
Well, we're hoping. Yes.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. November 4, ladies and gentlemen, Howard Carter rediscovers the intact tomb of the pharaoh Tutankhamun in Egypt. 1922. Was that the one that had the curse in it, Gary?
Indeed, it was. It was.
Okay. All right. Dentist John De Beers of San Francisco patents the gold crown. 1873. I wonder if Trump has one of those.
He's working on it.
Probably. 1989. Demonstrations for political reform draw over 500,000 people in East Berlin, significant enough to help make the Berlin Wall fall. Tear down that wall, Mr. Khrushchev. 1989. Vogue holds its first model show, and in popular language, the word fashion parade is coined. New York City, this day, 1914. Be interesting to see what that looked like. American inventor Benjamin Palmer, New Hampshire, patents the artificial leg. That was in 1846. But they used to have peg legs and things like that before that. I don't know. The artificial leg must have had more to it, if you'll pardon. Republican candidate Ronald Reagan is elected President of the United States, defeating incumbent Democrat U.S. President Jimmy Carter by a landslide. 1980 was the year. American folk singer-songwriter, not as good as Peter Clayton. Bob Dylan makes his... Listen to this. Bob Dylan makes his Carnegie Hall, New York City debut. Tickets were priced at $2. Well, you got to get an audience. You got to... Curtis Stone, Australian chef, television personality, born Melbourne, 75. First air-conditioned automobile, the Packard, Chicago, Illinois, 1939. Before that, and in some models after that, you just wound down the window. I think I'll leave it there. Oh, Tony Abbott. I like Tony Abbott. Tony Abbott, Australian Prime Minister, born in London, England, 1957. Thanks very much for being with us. Have a look at this song. I'm sure you'll love it. Here is Johnny Mac, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on Thursday morning with another posting at 9 o'clock, and Friday for the live streaming show, jeremycordeaux.com, around the dining room table. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.
Sometimes I can see myself as a cowboy riding through the Rocky Mountains, dressed up in my buckskins, I got a cabin tucked back in the woods just to keep my body feeling good. Got a woman with the softest touch to welcome me home. Then again I can see myself on a tropical island, palm trees swaying, Polynesians playing. Take a look at that tambourine, see the beautiful body sway, feel the gentle breeze on my face as the sun's going down. But the cowboy days are gone, and the islands are an ocean away. Now I got the sweetest girl to love me, come what may. I wanna walk in the breaking sun, catch the morning stars on the run. In the mirror of my lover's eyes, her smile tells me we're one. Yeah, the cowboy days are gone, and the islands are an ocean away. And now I got the sweetest girl to love me, come what may.